Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all delegates who have joined us from various parts of the world today for the CIO 200 Saudi. After having a fantastic day one in Bahrain, we are here in Saudi today as the second leg of the 2021 Roadshow. On behalf of Global CIO Forum and my entire team, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all today. As we all know, established in 2017, the CIO 200 is a multi country facilitation and world's biggest CIO leadership program. The CIO 200, as the name suggests, it's not just a competition, but a celebration of the amazing careers of the CIOs. In 2021, the roadshow would be touring 36 plus countries. And after the completion of the virtual roadshow, the CIO 200 would be culminating in a grand finale in UAE. This would be a face to face edition wherein the top and selected CIOs from the 36 countries would be flying down for the grand finale in an all expenses paid trip. In these 2 days, the CIOs and the other partners would be engaging in various knowledge sharing activities, peer to peer networking, matchmaking, and learning more about the global best practices in technology and much more. Into today's round also, we would be having various fantastic speakers and partners from Saudi who are going to embellish the day with their thoughts and best practices. So before we move on to today's session, I would like to call upon the CEO of GEC Media Group, Ronak Samantrai, to please come and do the welcome note to all of you. Ronak, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our guests who have joined in for the CIO 200 Roadshow Saudi. My name is Ronak Samantrai, CEO of GEC Media Group. I welcome you, everyone, for this great day. Yes, the CIO 200 Roadshow has started, much awaited, and the first leg was done in Bahrain, and today we are in Saudi. And the Saudi lineup looks really, really good today, like with a lot of good presentations coming in, a good cross-border panel, and of course, the awards will be happening as well. So for all the winners in advance from my side, heartiest congratulations. And the best part is, okay, from that list, we will have the top selected CIOs who will be flying in with us to the grand finale, which will be taking place in UAE in the month of November. So again, every event, as I say, is always as strong as the partners associated with this. So thank you to all the partners and sponsors who've been a part of this. And we are really looking forward to a great day today. So sit back and relax and stay tuned for this. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so much, Ronak, for presenting that welcome note. And yes, as you correctly said, this journey would not have been possible without the support of our sponsors and partners. So a big shout out going to all our partners in this journey, Infoblox, BMB Laserfish, Veritas, F5 Exclusive Networks, Arkan, and Finis. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to having a fantastic day with you all today. On that note, without much ado, I would like to welcome our opening keynote speaker for the CIO 200 Saudi, and it gives me great pleasure to call upon Dr. Abdullah Al Uthman, IT and Leadership Consultant from Ministry of Media, KSA. Dr. Abdullah, it's indeed a great honor and pleasure for us to have you as our opening keynote for the day. The stage is all yours and welcome.
السلام عليكم. شكرا لحضوركم اليوم. هذه الكلمة البسيطة من عندي. أنا اسمي الدكتور عبد الله العثمان، مستشار تقني وإداري. أحب اليوم أتكلم كلمة افتتاحية عن استخدامات الانترنال بورتلز لمساعدة للمساعدة في سعادة الموظفين. طبعا كلنا نعرف أن الانترنال بورتلز في الوقت الحالي يعتبر 90% خدمي، و10% يعطي معلومات بسيطة عن الموظفين. خلوني أبدأ لكم بجزئية طبية. لما تروح لطبيب طبيب القلب، أول حاجة يسوي لك هو يكشف لك على قلبك، وبعد كذا يشوف باترن اللي هي باترن حقت نبضات القلب، ويقارن هذا الباترن بالستاندرد باترن. يقول لك قلبك تعبان أو تحتاج إلى مزيد من الفحوصات، أو أن قلبك ما في شيء وتفضل كمل حياتك. أنا ماني طبيب ولا أعرف حاجة كثيرة عن الطب، ولكن هذا اللي أنا أشوفه في عيادة طب القلب. عموما أنا تكلمت عن هذه الطريقة وبرجع لكم فيها، بطبقها على موضوع الانترنال بورتلز. الانترنال بورتلز هو خدمي، ولكن إذا وضعنا الانترنال بورتلز بطريقة ما، بحيث أن الموظف من أول ما يبتدي الدوام إلى أن ينتهي الدوام وهو على الانترنال بورتلز، او خارج وقت الدوام في المنزل او شيء، فحياتك كلها تكون على الانترنال بورتلز. يعني كل حاجه تتعلق بالعمل موجوده على الانترنال بورتلز. اذا وصلنا للمرحله هذه، اذا نستطيع ان احنا نتعلم البيهيفير للموظفين من خلال استخداماتها للبورتلز. لما نتعلم البيهيفير للموظفين، فابتدي نخلق لكل موظف باترن معين. لكل موظف الباترن هذا هو يعتبر كأنه بصمة للموظف، فتبتدي تشوف الموظف بشكل بين فترة وفترة بناء على الباترن اللي انبنت عنه. إذا تغيرت الباترن فمعناته أن الموظف يحتاج تشوف له، يعني تدخل وتعرف الأسباب اللي سببها تغير الباترن. إذا رجع الباترن زي ما كان فمعناته أن الموظف اجتاز مرحلة معينة في حياته. الهدف هنا ليست متابعة الموظف أو مراقبته، ولكن الهدف هو أنك تحافظ على الموظف وتبتدي تعرف عن مشاكله. مثلا يكون الموظف عنده طفل مريض أو عنده حالة نفسية أو عنده مشكلة في العمل ما يقدر يتكلم فيها، فلما تشوف الباترن تغير فتبتدي تتواصل معه وتعرف إيش الأسباب، فتكتشف إن في أسباب خارج عن إرادته، فتبتدي تحافظ عليه وتتكلم معه ويحس هو إنه جزء من المنظمة. تخيل مثلا لو انك في منظمه او في شركه او في وزاره، وفجاه كذا يجي يتكلم معك اكبر راس في المنظمه ويقول لك ايش اخبار ابنك اللي امس او الاسبوع الماضي كان تعبان، ابغى احب اسال عنه. تحس بانه انت لك ارتباط قوي في هذه المنظمه. كيف نقدر نعرف او نبني الباترن؟ طبعا احنا في الوقت الحالي عندنا معلومات كثيره عن الموظفين نقدر نحصل عليها. نقدر نحصل على 3 محاور. اول محور اللي هي المعلومات الاساسيه عن الموظفين، واللي بنحصلها في الاي ار بي وبنحصلها في اماكن كثيره. المرحله الثانيه اللي هي تصرفات الموظف من خلال البورتل. يعني على سبيل المثال، يعني أمثلة بسيطة ممكن أطرحها، اللي هي أول حاجة بتكون مثلا أرسلنا تعميم. التعميم هذا كم ياخذ وقت للموظفين عشان يشوفونه. في موظفين ما يشوفون التعاميم بسرعة مثلا، فهذا الموظف يكون عنده له مقياس معين، هو هذه طريقته في مثلا في الريسبونس للتعاميم او للمعلومات اللي توصل له عن طريق البورتال، او مثلا للايميل اللي يجيه، او يعني بيكون في زي الكي بي ايز موجوده بالنسبه لها. المرحله الثالثه اللي هي بيكون في زي الاختبارات اللي توصل للموظفين عشان نعرف البيهيفير الموظف، نعرف يعني حاجات عن الموظف هو ما نقدر نعرفها باستخدامات للبورتال فقط، ولكن نقدر نرسل له اشياء معينه على البورتال على اساس نعرف البيهيفير حقته. مثلا ممكن نرسل بوش ديت يعني نوتيفيكيشن، نطلب يعني مثلا ما رأيك في المشروع الفلاني أو الفكرة الفلانية، ونحاول نعرف كيف الموظفين يتردون على هذه الأسئلة. أو مثلا نرسل مثلا فيديو معين صغير ونقول له وش شفته في الفيديو. الشخص نفسه يبدأ يتكلم عن الفيديو هذا. هذه امور في علم النفس. الشخص لما توريه صوره او توريه فيديو وتطلب منه رايه، هو يتكلم عن حاجه هي بليفد ان، هو يؤمن فيها، فعشان كذا حيعطيك المعلومه هذه. انت المعلومات هذه كلها لما كومباين توجذر حتبني باترن للموظف. انا زي ما قلت في الاول، الهدف ليس مراقبة الموظفين أو محاولة معرفة إيش يسوون، هذه أمور بسيطة جدا، لكنها هي طريقة بحيث أنك تسعد الموظف. في كتاب مشهور مرة اسمه How to Attract Talented People. الأورجنايزيشن عشان يصير Attract Talented People لازم يكون environment مرة قوية للموظفين. على سبيل المثال، لو جالك مثلا وظيفتين، واحده بنفس الراتب، واحده في ارامكو وواحده في شركه ما، تختار ايش؟ مباشره انت حتختار ارامكو. ليش حتختار ارامكو؟ لان سمعه ارامكو وسمعه بيئه العمل اللي فيها هي اللي يعني خلتك تروح هناك. التالنتد بيبل عموما هم اذا تعطيهم مرتب يكفي حاجته، هو اللي يهمها اكثر شيء هي بيئه العمل. فعلى اساس يكون عندك، عشان اتراكت ذا تالنت بيبل ما يطلعون من عندك ابدا، فتحاول تخلق طريقه بحيث انك تحافظ عليهم. وكل الجهات، الاورجنايزيشن، بيج اورجنايزيشن، والوزارات والهيئات اغلبيتهم عندهم انترنال بورتلز، واغلبيتهم الانترنال بورتلز اكسسبل لكل الموظفين، والخدمات الإلكترونية كلها موجودة. إذا الناقص أنك أنت يو انجيجد الموظفين كلهم على الانترنال بورتلز، وتبتدي كولكتد هذه الداتا، وتبتدي تخلق أو تبني الباترن. عموما الموضوع يحتاج إلى شرح طويل جدا، أنا حاولت أختصره في كلمة بسيطة افتتاحية. أنا معلوماتي موجودة في المؤتمر، وايميلي موجود، واللي يحب يتواصل معي الله يحييه في اي وقت. وحياكم الله وتشرفت فيكم كلكم. السلام عليكم ورحمه الله وبركاته.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abdullah, for presenting that opening keynote. As I said, it's always an honor to have you as a part of our events. Thank you so much, and yes, we look forward to seeing you face to face real soon. On that note, dear delegates, it's time to call upon our next speaker for the day, and it gives me great pleasure to welcome Mustaq Khan, GM Technology and Digital Transformation, Ubekan Investment Group. Mushtaq is an accomplished technology, e-commerce, and omni-channel and transformation expert. He has over 25 years of experience and a proven record of business leadership and deep technical understanding. He specializes in the area of RPA, data science, BI, visualization, and much more. Mushtaq, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today for the CIO 200. The stage is all yours, and welcome.
Okay, my name is Mushtaq Khan. I'm the General Manager, Technology, and Head of Digital Transformation on Ubekan Investment Group, the company based out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I would like to speak regarding the outlook of IT in KSA in particular, although that there's a big trend and there's a lot of things that are changing and coming. But I will speak in general, and I will speak specific to my company with my experience, what I'm facing and what we have done. There are many things and there are many buzzwords there. There are many people talking many things, but I will focus on few things. I would say the top 5 things that is trending and becoming the reality out from the buzzword. The biggest thing is RPA, which I will talk further. The Internet of Things, which we are experiencing ourselves, big data, AI, machine learning, fintech, and the last but not the least is the blockchain. And in all these things, we are target as also the focus is to improve our customer experience, regardless of any industry. In terms of my experience in my company, we are the largest manufacturing company within the Middle East. We are doing a lot of export in the packaging industry. And once we go to digitalization and automation in domain, we have gone through this journey. And this is a part of a journey that we started this journey around 5 to 6 years back. And we started with small and mini steps and talking to the business. We found a lot of resistance. We found a lot of business pushback due to their comfort level. We have to get out from the comfort level. So these things all not very smooth in the beginning, but as we move forward, we have gone a major change in our company, which is impacting the at the bottom line as a financially. So let me talk briefly about RPA, robotic process automation. There are many companies, they are coming out with their solution. One of them we have chosen, and we have adopted that, built the team, pick up the processes, and then we have gone through this whole journey. This is a whole journey started around 4 years back, where we picked up the processes to the digitalization improvement. And it is a great experience, not only in our company and a group. We have gone out to the market and successfully automated in many areas. I'm talking about predominantly 5 major areas, which are supply chain, technology, finance, customer service, and HR. So all these areas are highly capable to do the automation, to do the RPA, to do these things. And implementing of this robotic process automation, we have achieved the best ROI. We have achieved the highest level of automation. We have achieved cost saving, the most important thing, which every company is striving for that, especially during the period of COVID. And in fact, COVID, when it came, it enabled us and expedite our process, expedite our journey, because the people are start working from home. Then we get this, we utilize this opportunity to improve and expedite our journey and get out the benefit. The business resistance was reduced, and they would like to adopt it. So this is an excellent experience with this RPA, and we have achieved, and in fact, achieving our target given us by our business, and business is supporting us in a big time. This will help us even in the fraud detection, in the corruption, in the different area. So it is a great journey, and I would say we have pretty much mature. We have pretty much best of the best in the industry, best of the best in the kingdom, and utilizing across the company. The second and most important topic, which I would like to emphasize here, is Internet of Things, which is a part of our automation journey. We have connected all our devices, machines, and basically this is one of the most trending stuff, which is most trending in the trend right now, to connect your devices, connect your any devices. In fact, we are connected initially with our manufacturing machines, which we were very successful. Of course, there are some glitches happen, but that is also our biggest trend. And utilizing the machine learning capability, utilizing the artificial intelligence, we have worked with the multiple big partners, like maybe I can give the name here, like a GE or Siemens or Schneider's, and they help us a big time, and it was reduce our cost. That's the most important thing. The manufacturing cost is reduced big time, and improve our efficiency, improve our quality, reduce the customer complaints. So, I mean, these are the things which every company owner or CEO would like to see. And this is the biggest business values we have added in terms of we talking about technology part. Normally, when you talk about technology, they say this is a cost center. But we started our automation journey to convert this or a cost center into profit center as well. Right now, we are a partner with the business. We are working very closely with the business, and they are getting benefit out of it. And we put or introduce a shared service concept. We have experienced this as a big time, and getting out of the best from these automation, in fact, benefiting business is a big time. Another thing which I would like to emphasize here is improving the customer experience. We are in fact a B2B business. In fact, B2B is also very critical, very important. We have a small part of our business is related to B2C, where we are directly dealing with the customers, consumers. And when we are talking about improving the customer user experience, that enable us again with the COVID, when people are doing a lot of online purchasing, meetings or meeting face-to-face become difficult. Most of the things are going on online, utilizing these online tools. And we have utilized this time and this period to improve our customer experience, to give our customers ability to get our systems utilized, get our system connected, improve the customer, make their life easy, improve their customer journey. And this is at the end of the day is giving us an opportunity as a business point of view that we can increase the margin, or we can increase the pricing, and at the end of the day, it's a benefit to the business. So improving the customer experience is another biggest factor of, if I take a look of overall technology outlook and overall technology future. This is one of the most I would focus at, and our company. This is one of our part of a company vision. In fact, it should be part of our company vision, that how to improve. At the end of the day, all the companies are dealing with the customer, either B2C, either B2B, either B2C or B2B. So it is a most important thing how to improve the customer experience at the end of the day. Last but not the least, I would like to speak a little bit. I will in touch with the blockchain and fintech. We have our healthcare business, and we have started blockchain technology in healthcare. In fact, when the people are starting and we are going into that, it seems doesn't much mature, but yes, it is getting mature. we are using some component, some part of the blockchain, and we are getting benefit out of it. So overall, what we are targeting, in fact, fintech, we are experiencing connecting with our payment gateways as we are working into multiple digital solution, which is going to the market. We have our division called Obican Digital Solution, which is going into the market. They are selling it, and we are getting connected to the payment gateways, etc. So this is what I would like to speak. And at the last, I just like to say the artificial intelligence and the big data is growing big time. As of now, as per my understanding, the market value of within the kingdom is around 165 million, as per the last statistics I found in 2020, and it is reaching to expected to reach around $1 billion. Only I'm talking big data, artificial intelligence. So within the kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So this is the trend, and this is what we're talking about. That's what I have. In fact, that's it. Thank you very much, and pleasure to meet you, gentlemen. And we'll speak to you. We'll see you soon, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mushtaq, for that indeed inspiring presentation. I'm sure the audience also has some great takeaways from that. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable time with us, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, it's time to call upon our technology keynote speaker on board now. And it gives me great pleasure to call upon Mr. Nizar Idwan, the Territory Manager at Infoblox. Nizar is an accomplished and result-driven sales professional with over 14 years of experience focused on technology and IT companies. He has expertise in account management, consulting, channel management, and marketing with focus in channel management, and has developed small to medium market sales as well as building strategies to increase the mind share as well as the market share. Nizar, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today. The stage is all yours. Welcome.
Hello, and thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here. I'm so happy that I will present Infoblox Security with Next Level Networking. This is Nizar Idwan. I'm a Territory Account Manager in KSA, Saudi Arabia. Infoblox is a multinational company. Our headquarters in California. We are the market leader in Next Level Networking. We are offering DDI enterprise secret solutions, and we are the leaders in this field. We have more than 50% market share. We have like a global sales and support presence within the globe, supporting and serving more than 8,000 clients. Our office in Saudi Arabia and at Riyadh. So digital transformation, everyone is talking about. Digital transformation has changed the way things are done and affected our daily life. This has imposed a massive impact on the data and safeguarding it from corruption and unauthorized access by internal or external sources will protect your organization from financial loss, reputation damage, and more. As well as government and industry regulation around the data security make it more difficult that organization and companies achieve and maintain a compliance with these rules wherever you do business. We have entered that what I have called the era of next level networking. We are recognizing the organization are building the networks in a very different way, in a different concept. We have nowadays networks and IT and data centers are multi-cloud, more SD-WAN in our life, more Internet of Things, more access from outside, and more application or business application, we can access it from everywhere, even from our home. Especially during Corona, more access from outside. And the more they are doing that, and the more the internal data will be in public domain. As you know, DNS is the actual foundation of the internet. So without DNS, no economy value to our economy. Oh, now let's look at some of the things that may be making your life more difficult. From a networking perspective, from an environmental perspective, these shifts are happening every day. In fact, I have a client, he's saying that in IT, it's like industrial revolution of years past. It is, to be frank with you. We have got more people in the internet, more technologies moving the internet like software-defined networking, more devices to access from outside, more Internet of Things. I have seen attacks driven by things as random as security cameras. Then in the top of all of this, Mr. IT manager or Mr. CIO, you have got business really pushing you in a digital transformation for a cost reason or better service for your clients, which is frankly is, but it's making your world a lot more complex. What does that lead? That's leading more hacks and ever evolving threats. So the question here, is the DNS critical for 21st century business? Absolutely it is. Frankly, any part of our business is driven by DNS. Any communication in our business is driven by DNS. Any transaction from a customer around e-commerce is driven by DNS. Now hackers have come to realize that DNS is just important and valuable to them as it is to our business. So for these reasons, we preach the idea of that DNS is now as a threat vector. Now DNS threats have reached a critical mass, which is you have to do more and more about it. You have to look at the specific content the exact same way that you do with the email and web. So here are the DNS gaps. We take some numbers and we have some highlights in certain numbers that taking under consideration multi-dimensional threat factor. If we will take the first dimensional threat factor, we can see that 87% of most common application layer attacks is through DNS. 1.5 million average code per year to deal with DNS attacks. And from exfiltration threat vector, that 4 million average consolidated cost of data breach. We have done a study in a 25,000 company. We have found 45% of them experience DNS tunneling. And last but not least, that we can say that it's a #1 responsible vector for a ransomware. And more, we have more numbers to show the risks and the gap from DNS perspective. Vendors, and more security vendors. Security in IT has been layered defense approach, which kept adding more products to the collection, which is will come with more complex data, more complex data centers, more complex communication, which is it will end up with overflow. The data cannot be shared with other systems. Very hard to get through the critical information and the ability to understand where to focus. And between all these vendors, DNS security gaps actually exist, and you really never see anyone focusing in DNS. We as Infoblox, we have like 3 aspects of security. #1, infrastructure protection for better application and service availability. We provide in-depth infrastructure protection by securing the DNS security gaps that can be used to take down your entire operation and business. Second, data protection and malware mitigation. We provide malware and users data protection. As we discussed, that DNS security gaps is a huge. Third, eliminating administration silos and providing network and security orchestration for automation incident response. So Infoblox can greatly help you in not only in securing DNS services, but also helping you from a threat intelligence perspective as well. This is I love this slide. This is the good way just to high level and to show the different ways how we offer a protection against the threats. We have a reputation. We have a reputation-based, signature-based, behavioral-based. Reputation by detect and prevent communication, malware, C2, ransomware. Signature by infrastructure protection and critical core services and more. And the last one is the most compelling. Frankly, it's what sets Infoblox apart from everybody else. This is analytics based on our expertise of DNS, looking at every single packet, which is allow us and give us the ability to cache through zero-day type threats that go over DNS. As well as our threat intelligence is really rich. We will discuss this in the future, and we can see how Infoblox threat intelligence can enrich the other component in the network and can enrich the whole security elements in your networks. So, security orchestration and data sharing, integration, implementation, talking to each other. As you see, we have a lot of security layers, a lot of machines in every organization. And most of these layers and technologies, they don't speak with each other. They are getting the threat intelligence from their resources or sources. They will use it, but there is no common language between the whole component from a security perspective. And this is our goal, to be a Switzerland. Our goal is to take valuable DNS, DHCP data, leverage it across other tools. So whether I'm integrating with Rapid7 or Qualys or integrating with Cisco IC or Carbon Black, none of these security tools are really talking with each other. We can enrich the whole IOCs. We can speak and integrate with the whole security layers which we have. We can enrich it, and we can control Infoblox one single point of control. Sorry. They have got all. So this is from orchestration and integration. These are some of our Infoblox customers base. As you see from educational sector, we have most of the universities in Saudi Arabia. From financial sectors, most of the banks are with us, are our references. Oil and gas, we have Petrobras, SABIC, Aramco. Government, most of the ministries with us. Telecommunication, as you see, the ISPs in Saudi, and healthcare, and we have more and more references in different sectors and different, even over here in Saudi Arabia or out of Saudi Arabia, in a global references. Thank you a lot. I hope that I have delivered some of the messages of Infoblox. Please feel free to visit us in our booth. We will be very happy to answer your questions. If you need any more clarification about the information I just presented, please feel free to visit us. I will be very happy to answer you. Thank you again. Nizar Edwan from Infoblox KSA.
Thank you, Nazir, for that really interesting presentation. I'm sure the audience has had some great takeaways from your presentation. So thank you so much for sharing your time with us, and see you soon. On that note, delegates, it's time to call upon our next technology keynote. And to present that, I would like to call upon Yasser El Meshad, the cybersecurity specialist at F5. Yasser is an information security consultant with more than 10 years of experience in multinational environments. He has served some of the most well-known enterprises in the Middle East and Africa, and he also possesses a deep understanding of information and technical security architecture, engineering, and management. He also has some deep-driven expertise in risk assessment, risk management, and process excellence as well. Yasser, it's a great pleasure to have you with us today, and the stage is all yours. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Yasser Al Mashad. I work as a security specialist for F5 Networks covering the META region. In today's session, we're going to go through the F5 application security overview and latest trends in the market with regards to application security. So let's get started. First, I would like to start with the importance of applications today. Every company today is in the digital experience business, and the applications are at the core of this digital experience. The coronavirus outbreak has changed the habits of consumers and the way organizations do business forever. The number of services that we can use without leaving our homes continue to grow every day. But users now have higher expectations and less tolerance for applications' poor performance or applications security threats that expose their personal and financial data to risks. In fact, 66% of consumers say that they would avoid a brand with a reputation of delivering a poor digital experience. So essentially, digital transformations has reset the expectations for the experience an application must deliver to be competitive. But what's getting in the way of delivering those personalized digital experience is a very complex landscape of digital transformation, a hyper-speed development, and the ever-expanding threat surface. Many organizations today are stuck somewhere between the old world and the new world. The traditional classic architecture alongside the cloud-native architecture. But many of the digital experience that we see today is a blend of both of these traditional and the modern applications. On top of that, those traditional and the modern applications may reside or deployed in different environments. So organizations today may have applications running on-prem, but they also may have an application running in public cloud. And that's the hybrid approach. And shortly after that, we started to see what is known as the multi-cloud environment, where applications might be deployed in different public cloud environments. And this is because applications have different requirements, and the different public cloud environment may have different features that fit certain applications other than others. And recently, and this is the newest model that we start to see growing, is a distributed architecture. This is where we can have a single application that may have a component that is deployed in different environments. For example, the back end of the application might be a legacy service sitting on-prem. However, the front end of that application might be a modern component that's sitting on public cloud. Now, unsurprisingly, managing this mix of old and the new traditional and the modern applications in different environments is a significant challenge. So obviously, a new approach is needed to secure this architectures. Now, our approach is to allow enough decentralization to gain scale and speed, but to keep centralized oversight to ensure the security and compliance. So those are the solutions and the use cases I would like to walk you through at a very high level. The first one is the multi-cloud zero trust. Adopt multi-cloud zero trust strategy to embrace the decentralized network movement. Next is to adopt secure the modern infrastructure or application infrastructure, such as securing APIs, container-based applications, serverless applications, microservices, and cloud natives. Next is to shift left, adopt the DevSecOps. So automate the security policy into the application development lifecycle. Make the security part of the CI/CD or the development lifecycle of the applications. And next, provide a great user interface or user experience. The security and good user experience, they do not have to be trade-off. We can ensure security while keeping a good productivity and good user experience at the same time. And the last but not least is, of course, to stop advanced attackers by utilizing newer technologies like AI, machine learning, behavioral and statistical analysis, and the continuous monitoring to mitigate advanced threats like fraud and automation. Let's quickly cover a couple of these, some of these items that we just talked about. And we'll start with the multi-cloud with strategy for zero trust. Now, securing the multi-cloud zero trust strategy requires the focus into 5 components. These are the identity, service, the endpoints, and next one is the network security, and then the application security. Now, in the middle, there is the access security, and the access security basically is the bridge which tie all of these controls together and share context and the control. Now, the F5 solutions focus mainly on the applications security, access security, and network security, and these are the these are the components that we have a products and portfolio to secure the applications. So network security focus more onto securing the applications infrastructures. For example, network-based DDoS protection, DNS security, SSL visibility in the network. So this focus on the securing the infrastructure that hosts these applications. Access security by integrating with the identity provider services like Azure AD or Okta or Ping Identity, etc. And also by integrating with the endpoint security vendors like the MDM vendors or antivirus vendors, we can ensure trusted access to these applications. And finally, the application security take care of the layer 7 threats that can be either vulnerabilities on the web applications or mobile applications, as well as the fraud and automation attacks. Next is to adopt modern architecture. Now, securing modern applications sometimes is challenging. And to understand why security is so challenging for modern applications like an API, let's take a look at the typical API lifecycle. It's not too different from the traditional application. Now, the app dev team, they does the coding, okay? And then they do the coding, the building, and the testing. And then there is the DevOps who are responsible for facilitating the deployment and the publishing the API to the API consumer. And then we have here the API managers who are responsible for the operations and the monitoring of the API. So if you think about what is missing here, where are the security controls? Yes, that is missing. And this is why we are seeing lots of different threats against the APIs. Now, those teams are very smart people, but they are also very busy. They do not have the extra cycle to spend on security, right? And also API as a modern application, it's continuously changing all the time. And it's becoming more and more difficult to have security as part of it. Security can be looked at as a showstopper or a bit of a slower in this process. So the security needs to be approached from different perspective for APIs or for modern applications in general, as we're going to see later. Next is to shift left. And this is on top of what I just talked about for modern application. Now, at the heart of the digital transformation is the growth of those applications. And increased numbers of applications mean increased attack surface. A single application online open to the internet will get scanned and probed for vulnerability every 6 minutes. And if vulnerable, it can be compromised in less than 2 hours. And even if the companies have systems that do patch management and for the application, this is still faster than organizations can patch. So basically what we need to do, we need to have an dedicated application security platform that protects these applications. And most importantly, that this platform should be able to protect both traditional applications as well as the modern applications. So we want to support the legacy applications that might still be sitting on-prem, And we also want to adopt security for the modern applications that can be either an API or container-based application. And in this case, for the shift left, what we want to also ensure is that we want to make sure that the security is baked into the software lifecycle, development lifecycle. Now, today, many organizations, they rely on automation. And the automation is good because automation, it gives the business the speed needed to deploy applications, to make changes to applications, to add features to the applications quickly and introduce those new features to the market. But also automation, in many cases, makes security overlooked because usually automation is done by the software engineers, the DevOps engineer, and usually security are in different teams. So what we want to ensure is that we want to do this movement, we want to adopt this method of shift left, meaning that shift the security to the left, make it part of the pipeline, make it part of the automation. So when the DevOps engineer or the application owner do a changes to his application by triggering some pipeline or automation script, we want the security policy to be part of that automation. So we had to change our products and our platform to be completely automatable, to be able to be integrated easily into the CI/CD and the automation softwares like Ansible or Terraform or different other infrastructure as a code platforms. And the last is to stop the advanced attackers. Now, what we see is that every single application is vulnerable today for what we call the common software vulnerability and the common exploit. Essentially, every application needs to be protected against these type of threats. Not only the mission critical applications, but also the non-critical applications or the non-important at all applications. Because, and as you may know, that we kept hearing about major security incidents and the breaches on big organizations. And really the attacker were able to enter through very minor application or very small application. In a recent case, in one of the big financial institutions in US, where a major breach was happened, and lots of personal informations were exfiltrated, and really the attacker were able to get in through the HVAC system, just like a temperature application that was non-critical at all, sitting there in the network for network admins to monitor the temperature in the data center, and that was their entry point. From that application, then they can jump to another more critical applications inside the environment. So every single application needs to be protected against these common threats. The next type of the threats is the advanced and the targeted threats. And these are the ones which target more the mission critical applications. Those are the smart attackers that they basically try to defeat existing defenses on the application. They try to create site-specific vulnerability. So they study the website or the application properly. They try to discover vulnerabilities. They try to defeat existing security controls. So obviously we need to have an advanced application security for those type of applications. And the third is the fraud and the business logic attacks. And this is probably the most sophisticated out of them. In this type of threats, the attackers go beyond exploiting vulnerability to exploiting business logic. What does this mean? It means that the attackers, they will start to exploit the inherent functionalities of the application, a feature that exists by default in application. The feature itself are not vulnerable. For example, the login page or the user registration page or password reset page. So those are a feature that exists in most of the applications. They might not be vulnerable. However, the attacker might exploit the business logic. For example, the attacker might exploit the user registration feature to create hundreds of fake user profiles. So he can use these profiles later for a fraud or an automation attack. Now, for traditional application security, this is not seen as a threat because there was no vulnerability existing in application. There was no exploit being used in this attack. There is no signatures being triggered on the web application firewall. So this is looks like a normal traffic. However, the ultimate purpose of this action is malicious. And this is require a more advanced, sophisticated application security platforms that can understand the intention of that user. It can differentiate between a human accessing my application and the bot or non-human. And for those humans, it can also understand if this is a good human or a bad human based on the history, based on how he interacts with the application, based on what he do in his PC, based on the fingerprint that we collect and many other criteria. So with that, this concludes my presentation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Yasser, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We look forward to seeing you real soon. And now it's time for the most interesting part of the day, to announce the winners of the CIO 200 Saudi Arabia. But before we move on to the name of the winners, a quick reminder of how the process is going to be. All the winners, right after the ceremony, you would be getting your blockchain verified CIO certificates right to your inbox. Please do have a look at it. And out of the winners, the jury would be selecting a few winners from the country who would be flying down to the UAE for the grand finale in an all-expense paid trip. So we wish you all the best and look forward to seeing some of you very soon. On that note, let's have the winners of the CIO 200 Saudi. On that note, dear delegates, it's time for the interesting cross-border panel now at the CIO 200. Just a recap on what the CIO 200 cross-border panel is all about. As we all know, started in 2020, the CIO 200 cross-border concept shot to fame in a very less time. The unique flavor is that this panel brings around us extraordinary CIOs from 4 different countries, 4 different geographies. They come together to share their views about how technology has been a game changer for their company and the country IT outlook as a whole. The cross-border panel actually brings out the concept of technology has no barriers and no boundaries. So to start the cross-border panel of Saudi, I would like to call upon our 4 key panelists who are joining us today. Anil Menon from India. He is the head of information technology at Lulu Group. Nitin Bhargav from UAE. He is the COO at Emirates Investment Bank. Sanjeev Madhavi from Oman. He is the Chief Digital Transformation Officer at Khimji Ramdas. And Iftikhar Arif from Pakistan. He is General Manager, Information Technology and E-commerce at Muller and Phipps Pakistan Private Limited. The cross-border panel would be moderated by Arun Shankar, the editor at GEC Media Group. Welcome to all the panelists, and I would like to hand it over to Arun now. Thank you.
So thank you, Anushri, for the various introductions. Good day, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. Continuing with the success of 2020, where we hosted 104 leading CIOs in our cross-border panel discussions, we are pleased to move forward with this initiative in 2021 as well, inviting the top CIOs to participate in our cross-border panel discussions. As part of this World CIO 200 Roadshow 2021 Saudi Arabia edition, and on behalf of Global CIO Forum and its sponsor partners, I welcome the panelists here with me to this cross-border panel on leadership in the post-pandemic era and what will drive leadership in this post-pandemic recovery phase for the next 12 to 24 months. So let us begin this discussion with the panelists here. We will have 3 rounds of discussion across the next 45 minutes. And let's begin with the first question, which I would like to now ask Anil Menon, who's at Lulu Group of India, to answer. Now, Anil, you have a pretty long baseline of engagement with Tata, Starbucks, Trent, Hypermarket, and before that, software and business, right? So you must have obviously been pretty observant of the changes happening in your industry. And if you look back in this last 18 or 24 months, which were the specific technologies and applications that you noticed that organizations in your market segment have used to build agility, resilience, leadership? You know, there must have been something that they were focused on. Go ahead, Anand.
Thank you, Arun. And rightly said, the India market was equally hit as the global market. Depending on the maturity of the industry and different sectors in the industry itself, we can break this up into 3 parts, right? The customer, the employee, and the IT, the data, and so on and so forth, the technology part of it. As per the maturity, as I said, industry has gone through a tremendous digitalization, if I have to use that word, in all these 3 sectors. One, from the customer point of view, they strive to make sure that they are at the doorsteps with the customer, or as per the needs of the customer, depending on either you're from the grocery, fashion, fast food, so on and so forth, right? So each industry, each sector worked upon mounting or climbing onto a platform which can make them more, the reach increases. New channels has been looked into. That's from the customer point of view. While you're doing this, we are also making sure that the employees are safe, because customers, the first question which arises in this pandemic was, is the person who's delivering it to me vaccinated, and is he safe? Is he sanitized, and so on and so forth, right? So retailers worked on all these 3 fronts: customer, from going on the platform, digital platform, looking at the maturity, making sure you reach the customer at the place where he wants it to be. Secondly, from an employee standpoint of view, 2 factors from an employee standpoint of view. At the store sector, they made sure that the employees are safe, the environment is safe, the ecosystem is safe for them to deliver to the customer, thus bringing the trust for the customer. The second part of the employee was, while you're working from home, suddenly working from home became for everyone a critical factor, right? So people also looked at how can you make sure that the EX tech, if I have to call it, the employee experience tech, had been taken care of in terms of educating them how to use when you're working from home, or what should be the way of working, and so on and so forth. And the third part is the technology part, which is crucial. A quick leadership thoughts went through saying that which of the applications are critical at this point of time. Not everything was critical. The customer facing elements were too critical. So people who had their own data centers and silos, working in silos, has suddenly moved on to cloud. And not everything has gone to cloud. right? They took part of them to cloud so that it is accessible both to the employee per se and the customer per se. Secondly, they also collaborated with the startups and the who's who of the market at that point of time who can deliver this experience from a customer standpoint and employee standpoint. So largely, if I have to put it, this is the 3 or 4 factors which is done. And one critical factor overlaying all of this was data security. That was key at this point of time. That brought in a lot of elements into perspective. As we go along, we can dive into it and go in depth into it. That's more from there. Arun?
Very interesting, Anil. I just want to touch on the last point, data security. Was this the supply chain part? Was it the customer part? Was it the financial transaction? Which aspect of data security was getting highlighted at that time? Go ahead.
Largely two. We rightly pointed to largely two. One is a customer factor, one is supply chain factor. Customer factor because suddenly contactless payments went up, right? Data, we had new channels of acquiring data, customer data or customer giving a consent to use that data. So attribute X moved to attribute Y. So making sure that while you're doing a contactless payment, you need to be sure all your securities are in place. Data was multiple folds. It just worked in because of the online channels, right? So this was the two factors, and the supply chain more from an inventory and delivery and standpoint of view, where data was heavily used and data security. It's not that the industry was not ready. Industry was ready, but they had it in the roadmap. They just they fastened the whole process of data security and digitization.
Correct. Very interesting. So even in UAE, we saw a large emphasis on contactless payment and the move away from the cash. So even retailers who were slow on using these the machines, the mobile payment machines, they had to adopt it. Fantastic. So let's move to Nitin now. To you now. Long baseline with banking. I see essentially Emirates Investment Bank currently, then Mashreq Bank, JP Morgan Chase, and of course a movement away from technology to as a COO. Operational business. So quite an experience for you to have moved from technology to operations. Can you give us a summary on how things look to you in the banking and finance sector in terms of what they did to build resilience? Go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. So I think I'll start with the point you raised around moving from just IT to operations and IT. What I've seen in the past 30 years I've been in banking is that it works very well hand in glove. It works together, and a lot of what we're doing and one of the big things that banks are transforming themselves are into process automation. So you look at robotic process automation, look at NLP, NLG technologies, machine learning is really now it's no more unique. It's becoming a norm, and banks are moving towards artificial intelligence. In my current role, we are looking at assisted robotic advisory as well. So things like are moving forward, and there is more confidence. It's all been enabled, the last few years with the cloud adoption. The UAE is now very receptive to cloud adoption. Data residency rules are very clearly defined. Outsourcing regulation is defined. So that's becoming much more clear for banks to manage a more distributed environment. And Anil touched upon a distributed workforce, right? A lot of work from home has happened in the last 18 months, and that gives banking sector an ability to also have a distributed workforce across the world. And I think a couple of things I've seen in the past, 3 banks I've worked in was the rapid adoption of the agile delivery. Using whatever tools like Azure boards and all, so that you did not have to work towards bringing everyone together. It's actually a more virtual world now. So the adoption of agile in the last 18 months has also helped get the ball rolling in terms of the delivery and enhancements that's going on. You're aware lack of travel did necessitate the moving away from in-person to having the trust to work remotely and all as well. But I think the big thing that I've seen beyond all this is the evolution of the collaboration tools, right? We are sitting on Zoom here, we are virtual. You look at the adoption of Microsoft Teams. Now, most of the organizations are adopting these technologies. You can record and play back. So I feel that is probably is a big game changer, and that's becoming a new norm of a distributed workforce as we move forward.
Thanks, Nitin. There's one interesting point just occurred to me, like generally offices to move the remote workforces, it's not so difficult because many employees work from home. But in the banking sector, when they are accessing very sensitive data, you have robust passwords, you have a perimeter fencing type of an approach, especially in the banks. How did you actually bridge that capability to? Was it a lot about technology, or was it a lot about processes, or was it a lot about policies? How did that actually happen? Go ahead.
So it's a good question, and the answer is mixed. It's basically led by technology. So when we started, especially if you look at traders, and there is a lot of data privacy issues as well, but that's on the customer side. I think it's taken care of. It's agnostic to who are working where, right? But when I look at an employee working from home, there is a potential of data leakage. The security of the of the infrastructure network and all is also important. So what we did was we looked at like a WAN. From a LAN, we extended it to a home LAN, but made it a WAN, WAN, so that we could bring the logins into our own firewall as if you're sitting in the office. It took us a bit of time, but it worked very well for us. I don't want to take names of the the vendors and all, but it was very effectively done by the team, and we extended it to a multi-location as if you're working behind the firewalls. So you're right. We're very important, and I think it just continues to grow, and you get the confidence from information security perspective that it's all secure.
Great, because we saw the call centers, we saw the branches reducing in operation. And it always struck me that if the tellers and all are going away, yes, you're talking about automated ATMs and other things like that, but there's a lot of customer service. The call centers were also being downsized. And then I used to receive calls from bank employees working from home. It always struck me like, how do you still manage that governance from people who are the own? So great takeaways over there. Now, moving to you, Sanjeev, sitting in Oman, I think you've been there for a long time. And essentially, as I can see, started with Bhavan Cybertech, managed a lot of technology solutions. So essentially, technology partner experience, and then moving to diversified group, Kimji Ramdas. Now, from your point of view, what are the sort of technologies or stacks or solutions which came into this industry to ensure that there was resilience in the last 18-24 months? Go ahead, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Arun. As again, very, very pleased to be part of the panel today. If I may summarize my experience of the last 18 months, almost 2 years that we are in the pandemic mode, I think I will sort of sum it down in 2 words, and it's about customer experience. I think this entire journey, as we have all been trying to classify, even in the panel today, is about moving from the digitization state, where we're trying to get the data into a digital format, into a digitalization state, where we have the processes automated, moving on to a digital enterprise. And eventually, the idea is again to have a real-time enterprise. That's what everyone's end goal is. Now, coming from a supply chain and logistics background, which unlike obviously what you mentioned, is where I have spent most of my last 25 years. Coming from a global supply chain background, we have the same set of issues that we have been tackling now, that we have been facing for the last 20 years almost. We had the advent of globalization, we had the distributed supply chains for economies of scale and factories opening up in China and all, and sort of, on a distributed mode. We had decentralization of processes, we had advent of outsourcing, BPOs, KPOs, synchronization of services. But the central theme behind that was always about information flow in an efficient manner. I think when we're trying to look at a global supply chain for material being sourced from China, delivered to a customer in the US or wherever else in the world, that is the core theme. And I think I'm trying to sort of cite one of the researches I came across from McKinsey recently, where it said that companies that invested in delivering a superior customer experience during the downturn especially, they emerged much, much stronger as compared to their peers in terms of economic rebound, where of course they had almost 3 times the average return on their shareholders value as compared to the others who did not. What we did see during the pandemic, as you can imagine, there was a vaulting of the consumer behavior numbers, people who actually sort of accepted e-commerce as a norm. It jumped almost tenfold in a span of 90 days. It crossed the next 10 years forecast. So the scale up was very, very fast. And what we realized is the customers were all looking at the immediacy, the convenience, availability, safety of the digital experiences. So this sort of reset the entire expectations for most of the retailers. Kimji Ramdas being in predominantly in the retailer business, we have 450 brands that we are franchisees for. We had to sort of remodel our entire network around it, see how exactly we need to sort of function going forward. And what you sort of, I would say, I would definitely want to bring it down to the 5 foremost factors that have now emerged post the lockdown. And that basically tells you the technology that we need to focus on around either building of your internal focus via an efficiency, where I'm trying to sort of automate processes, as some of our panelists have already mentioned. And the second element is to look at a profitability pattern, where I'm trying to get an external focus, go to customers, try to sort that extra revenue base. And eventually both the models converge into a digital sort of enterprise that we have. But significantly, if I may sort of take about 30 seconds just to sort of wrap up my idea, what we're saying is we have seen customers switch their entire buying patterns, their purchase ideas, their preferences in terms of whom they used to buy things from. And we have now 5 areas that have come about. One is a cost focus, where you have a lower price and obviously the customer will switch for the want of a better cost. Convenience focus. We have had slightly very, very odd, I would say, parameters that have come out. There was a cultural and ethics focus, right? So organizations which retain their employees during COVID-19, sort of customers were also supporting those organizations so that the employees retain, their jobs. And if not, we also have a focus around, other areas, communities which were serving, COVID affected, customer base, or special groups, be it elderly, people or people with disabilities. People were sort of trying to sort of emulate and sort of identify with those brands and those kind of experiences. So all in all, I think for me, it's all about customer experience. And I think the technology that has sort of aided that process, be it from an internal perspective or an external perspective, I think that for me has been the big, I would say, paradigm shift of the last 2 years.
Great, very interesting over there, Sanjeev, talking about price, convenience, ethics, community, and of course, looking at price, low price, high price, profitability. One thing that strikes me in such a large group like yours, where was the main challenge? Was it on the incoming logistics part of it? So the outgoing essentially to the retail, yes, we understand those were the sort of guidelines. But the incoming supply chain, what is coming in? Do I have to stock? Do I need to sell out? What should be the pricing? So even now we hear all these reports about, a container which was $1,900 from one end of the world to the other is now $10,000. Now, sooner or later, that price is going to come out. And how do you actually plan for that in such volatile conditions? Give us an idea about that.
I think if we sort of go back to the basic tenets around retails and logistics, we have the 5 primary benefit areas that we concentrate on. First being non-productive time. Any process that does not add value, we need to sort of eliminate that or take it away as much as we can. Second is the focus on HSE and human and environmental friendliness. That is obviously very, very key and focus to the entire element. Then we look at the volatility. And the volatility is where I say the customer demand can sort of scale up, scale down, switch sort of multiples on a small period. So I think in order to build a resilient supply chain when it comes to retail businesses, there is no golden thread as we keep looking for. But I think it's all about how much shocks your supply chain can sort of bear without trying to let the customer know that you are in pain. Because eventually the customer has to see that we have a unified face, everyone from the retailer to the back-end supplier to the back-end IT system to the payment gateway to all the banking institutions and everyone involved in servicing their order for a Nike shoe or Louis Vuitton first as maybe is rock solid and will deliver the goods on time. That promise is what we try to keep in utmost conditions, be it through technology and through human intervention as much as possible.
Great takeaway. How much shock can your logistics system supply chain take? Very interesting. So good lead into Iftikhar. Now you're also in the distribution and logistics. Buller and Phipps, a long baseline over there. So give us an idea on your experience. How was it? How did you actually build the resilience in this distribution business in Pakistan, which normally is very challenging, but must have been much more in the last 18, 24 months? Go ahead, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Ran. Well, I am highly excited and agree with all my panel's reviews and comments. Well, being a part of a logistic company since last 21 years, first I would like to tell you about the Mulan tips. So you can give me a platform to elaborate the resilience and the way forwards which we have done so far. MNP is a leading distribution company in Pakistan, the oldest one. We were established in 1912. So far, we are dealing with around 52 companies. That means we are tapping 750 towns, serving around 100,000 customers, and the frequency is 35,000 per day. And in 100,000 customers, 40,000 are the pure pharmacies, through which around 5,000 doctors we are tapping on a daily basis. So that's the volume, that's the services we are carrying with respect to the consumer goods and the pharmaceutical products. And being a part of the distribution sector, as we all know that the logistics is an important part of our business plan. During the pandemic, minimizing distance without affecting the coverage was the challenge toward this end. So what we can do, what we did, that we have developed our in-house e-commerce platform that bridged the gap created by the lockdown situation. We call this solution APTA, that means Destination U. We designed a unique online engine that provides all type of connectivity by using all the media. You talk about mobile phones, mobile application, call center, in-person, SMS, to serve our customers and partners. And with respect to the next part, that during this entire period, we were able to work with a zero sale loss. We're able to sustain, rather enhance customer confidence, and we're able to live up to our image of a retailer distributor. From the leadership point of view, I must say that the biggest contribution that we did not resort to layoff as a headcount managing strategy. Instead, we were able to create employment by starting home deliveries. So far, we have inducted 500 more people in our convoy. The size of the organization, 8,000 people. So you can easily imagine for the last 18 months, the biggest objective of our management that we have to provide 24 by services with uninterrupted and the quality products.
Okay, great. Very interesting initiatives over there, especially about making sure that the healthcare doctors and pharmacies remained well equipped over there. So let's go to the second round of questions, which will be a little bit more faster because we want to make sure we go through the third round also. So coming to you, Anil, obviously, technology is there for the internal customer. You need to be working very closely with business. The business are the people who actually experience the challenges and then they come to you for solutions. Give us an idea on how did your peers in the business effectively come to you with their problems, the pain points? What was the sort of collaboration? What was the sort of discussion that happened in order for you to take these large-scale decisions? Go ahead, Anil.
Thanks, Arun. Very rightly said, and if I have to say in simple terms, the definition of problems have suddenly changed. Previously, post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, it was more on day-to-day activities, what can be done, and so on and so forth, and on a daily stuff. Suddenly, they started talking about how can we automate processes, how can we simplify other processes. Majorly from the new term called a D2C has just sprung up in India, right? Everyone is talking about D2C now. How can we make it enabled? Because suddenly, while you may not call it omni-channel or unified commerce, but people are somewhere started playing that game of, you have an offline, you have an online, you have different channels and trying to match. And while you did this, you also started impacting your back officers, your processes, and so on and so forth. So now the peer group discussions are more healthier. When I say healthier in a very right term of it, saying that, why don't we take technology to a level where it can automate more of. So RPA has become a normal way of talking, right? AI has become a way of talking. People are talking about data suddenly. People are talking security about data. Make sure that the customer knows about it. People are talking about MFCs suddenly. The store MFCs become suddenly, why don't we cater from our stores? So micro fulfillment centers have suddenly become a discussion. So the whole, what I'm coming to is the whole gamut of thoughts have suddenly changed. People are trying to bring in a lot of automations, make value of what data they had in a more precise manner, be more rather than being more reactive to natures, they're becoming more actionable to what they're getting, right. They're trying to getting the skill sets are going up. So all of this have been started. That's a level of discussion, and suddenly HR comes in and talks about employee welfare, well-being, wellness, because of this distributed ways of working, right? How do you make them motivated? How do you keep them, and so on and so forth. So the whole platform thoughts have started changing, if I have to say. There's a drastic drift. It's from the leadership. So if you tell me, Anil, are you happy now? Yeah, I'm very happy with the IT guy. Now I get budgets. If I go and say about security, I get budgets. People are aware of it. So that's a drastic shift which we see across the industry which is going on.
So very interesting over there, especially the part about an IT person getting briefed about the HR and welfare, and having to think about what solutions need to be there. If I can interpret what you said, but I just want to ask one question over here. During this time when things were challenging, were the problem statements coming to you? Hey, Anil, look, our sales have dropped 30% here. We need to find a way to pick it up, or was it something more closer to technology? I mean, were the business pain points transferred to you directly? Or did you start getting like a technology requirement? Look, you need to beef up the number of, accessibility of this application, this area. What were the sort of briefs that were coming to you?
Yeah, Arun, that was a mixed bag. Whilst particular functions came in with very straight away queries, we had a lot of operational team coming up with a couple of solutions, a couple of thoughts, a couple of ideas. Why don't we collaborate with someone who's there already in the market and they're doing something? Why don't you just hang on to them and then start delivering? Say, for example, suddenly PWA became a way of life. So people started talking, why don't you go jump on a super app? Why don't you have your own PWA? How soon can you get a PWA? There's a collaborative team running there. There are a couple of vendors who are doing a home delivery. Why can't you go with it? So that was the conversation started becoming more mixed bag. While functions which are more support in kind, if I have to call it so, was very drastic, saying that, you know what, can I see these numbers coming in? This channel is open up. Can I see what's happening? While the operations and the customer facing team, marketing teams started coming up saying that, while this channel is open, why don't you use this technology for more collaborative natures?
Understood. So exactly as you said, mixed bag, some of it here, some of it there, and then leaving you to take the initiative over there. Very interesting. Thanks for that, Anil. So coming to you now, Nitin, same question as I've been asking, that banking, very intricate. Obviously, you need to use a lot of decision making. I mean, technology is an enabler. You need to use so many parameters to decide which revenue service to push and how to optimize it. How was that actually done at your end? Go ahead, please.
Thank you. So I've been fortunate to join the bank to do a lot of wholesale technology transformation. So we had a two-pronged approach. As one of this Sanjeev mentioned about customer experience, and second was operations efficiency. So from customer experience point of view, we have been working with our business partners, business unit heads, to define the customer journeys, right? Every customer or customer segment actually is not the same. So there is in some customer segment, you need speed is of essence. Second, in others, it is more accuracy or more controls is of essence. So we have private banking clients, they don't care about speed or real time updates on the statements. They would probably look at once a week or whatever. But if you look at a retail client customer, they want to know real time what's happening. So we have actually, with this technology refresh, we have marked the customer journeys. We've also looked at the operations efficiency, our processes, whatever's redundant, what we can, we have basically looked at the new platform, superimpose that with the processes, and we are redefining those. So removing the touch point. So that's where we talked about RPA and automation of the processes also come through. So it is all about, the voice of the customer, voice of the process. But the big thing also that helped us is we have proactively engaged our vendors to be a part of this journey. And it's always the case, but in these times, knowing how rapid things change and being in an agile world, there is no sign of the requirements and move forward. Here it is like you do one round and you want some changes. So it's very important that we get the buy-in, the trust of our vendor partners as well, and make them true partners in the journey. So that's been a big transition, at least what we have been trying to push here as well.
Great. We had an idea of these changing partnership models before the pandemic, but as you rightly said, I think you have to partner in order to get through it together. I mean, you can't just have it as a commercial engagement, needs to be a bit better. But one question which has struck me, we used to read, we came across quite a few things about the ability to change an application pretty rapidly on the basis of emerging customer data in the last 18 to 24 months. Was the application development team able to sync in terms of time to restructure the application, change the interfaces, the DevOps type of model? Were you able to push that in, or was this supportive? Who had to take the lead on this? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think it's a very good question. What we call hyper personalization and creating of micro apps when you can bring things together. And what if the client doesn't want something, we can take those widgets out as well. So I've been doing that in my previous bank and here as well, just to make sure that we are offering our clients what they need and maybe what they want, and we push them towards that. There was a point raised around increasing more revenue lines and all that as well. So we are trying that as well, where we were able to look at the data analytics, predict that there would be a cash requirement given the the standing instructions, and we offer real-time overdraft facilities and all that without the client remembering all those things. So hyper personalization is become a norm. It will get more and more prominent as banking progresses, in my view.
Okay, great. So obviously more pressure on the technology departments and the IT heads to to find a way to meet the demands of customers. So coming to you, Sanjeev, now we obviously being part of the Kimji Ramdas, so many brands like you mentioned, a lot of business discussions, a lot of business pressure. How did this actually work with you in your organization, or let's say in your sector of distribution across retail and distribution across Oman? Go ahead.
I think the personal story, which I would definitely want to narrate here very, very quickly, is the fact that we had to undergo a complete branding change. I think this is where we see the strong impetus for technology teams to actually go and engage with their own internal customers, their business partners, their channel partners, who definitely are their immediate sort of customers whom they're trying to service. We had to change our branding. As you can see, we've changed from Kimji Ramdas Information Systems, I'm sure, which would have been an app title for the last 20 years, and we've gone now to KR Digital. Said we have to change the face. Number one, we have to let the customers know that we understand them. The worst thing that always happens to technology folks is that we go on our own technological sort of jargon world, and business will start yawning after 2 minutes, and they don't know us and we don't know them. So the second important change is to let them know that we are not technical people. We are techno-functional consultants. We come with that necessary mix of technology orientation and business, operational expertise and understanding. That tells them very clearly that we understand them, we can speak their language. And most importantly, for any customer, be it external or internal, the biggest focus will always remain as a value for money exercise. So the IT investments until date have always been sort of shrouded in that mystery element. Saying, okay, I'm going to spend X amount of thousands or nearly millions as may be on ERP implementations, or like you said, we have RPA, which is the current flavor. I started working on this 20 years ago when we had something called as business process management systems, and it was essentially offering the same thing. So again, we were sort of revisiting the same thing of the last 20 years. It's old wine in a new bottle. So we have the same ideas about business process automation. We have business process execution rules. We have business activity monitoring, and we have enterprise service bus. All the four things that connect what? It all connects data. We have to bring the ROI condition so that the business understands we are working on trying to give them the maximum value for the money they're going to spend. And second, and more importantly, it's all about data and information, how we convert data to information, information to insights, and how insights will actually help them take better decisions on their business parts. So all in all, the concentration has been heavily on data management, data analytics. In order to get better data analytics, we said we need to have enterprise integration, which means we need to connect with different systems that are out there. And we need to have an underlying business process management layer, which actually becomes the foundation glue for every single system, be it an ERP, CRM, operational system, IoT sensors as may be, and bring them all together so the data universe is now sort of, under a single data lake structure. So I think for us, the journey has been very, very successful. We have been able to sort of convince most of our internal businesses out of the 50 businesses that Kimchi Ramdas owns. We have 46 of them on a very firm standing. Says, we are with you. We understand that we are talking the same terms and that we can work on all these initiatives. The whole idea, if I may sum up again in a sentence, is about trying to deliver an AI-based, a technology-based experience, which is as close to natural human engagement. And that's what the end customer, the consumer outside of the business wants to see. And that's where what we have to work together towards delivering.
Great. I especially like the last part you mentioned where, the engagement, technology engagement matches the business intuitiveness and, everybody feels comfortable about how they're working and they're enabled by technology. So great stuff over there, Sanjeev. And I'd like to now move to you, Iftikhar. Same question now. You mentioned quite a few interesting things in the first question, which was essentially about the emphasis on the people internally, the mobile applications, all that. But how did this actually come internally? Any of the operational heads, business heads sitting and talking with you? Go ahead, Iftikhar.
Right. Well, as we are know that the biggest noise of 2020 is COVID-19. Well, a few years back, when we thought about 2020 or 2021, we thought about flying cars, reward-driven healthcare, space tourism, but the reality of 2020 proved out to be much different. If you recall correctly, in March, we were reported first case of COVID in Pakistan. And very early in the pandemic environment, we realized that reducing distance was the main challenge. So we developed an award-winning ecosystem by the name of Aaptak, which provides an alternate order booking system. Just to give you a quick update about the Aaptak, it is not just a traditional marketplace for the e-commerce player. Rather, it's bringing the concept of Uberization to Pakistan. The application connects B2B, B2C, and the new thing is that C2C. That's a customer to consumer. That device to allow transaction between retailer, registered with the MNP, or otherwise to the consumer. So we provide the additional muscles to our customers, 100,000 customers, for the delivery facilities. So every customer now is treated as an e-commerce player. So we brought this idea in Pakistan. In addition to this, we enable the work from home environment to all our background workers. So much so that we even set up a call center at our employees' home for patient facilities and the first, the doctor facilitation. Our logistic and pharma teams work closely with IT toward process reengineering. That basically was meant to change the people mindset about the deliveries. Now we can easily say that we have shifted our major trade sales on the e-commerce side in Pakistan, and that's the biggest challenge. Initially we thought that it's all about the first wave or second wave, but now it's a new normal, and the dependency of the e-commerce platform is increasing on a daily basis.
Great. So great initiatives are there, quite interesting. And now I'd just like to move to the last question because time is going to run short. And in this, I just like everybody to give a 1 minute answer. And the question is very simple. That, we heard a lot about the types of decisions which have been done in the last 18, 24 months. A lot of technologies picked up in a haste, but some amount of streamlining, operational process improvements need to be done now so that you're using the foundation to move forward into the next 2 years. And if that is the case, what is the key initiative or what is the key technology or what is the key streamlining that needs to be done at each of the technology heads to ensure that things move forward? So I'd like to come to you, Anil. A short answer, any key single initiative which is the most important that's going to take you forward in the next 18, 24 months? Looking forward, what's done is done. We've come through great. Now, how do we actually move forward in an efficient manner? Over to you, Anil.
Yeah, Arun, just one word. If it is just one word, it's AI. all through AI. AI on whatever you're talking about. You're talking about data, AI on processors, AI on whatever, whichever processor you want to put it. So AI will drive a long run, and an RPA underneath it will seal it out.
Great, great answer, Anil. I'm glad that retail is still looking at AI as one of the key, most important decisions over there. Nitin, coming to you, again, the banking has transformed tremendously in the last 24 months. Outlook is still good. Its systems are very robust. But if you have to clean up any area and prepare for the next 18, 24 months, so what would that be? Go ahead, Nitin.
So I'll take a different tack beyond AI and automation. I think the whole thing is about distributed workforce. To get a world-class workforce working for you, and I read somewhere about hybrid workplace, right? The main thing is, how do you manage fatigue? How do you manage the productivity, right? How do you keep the knowledge base up to date, right? The stickiness of the employees, because there is a lot of attrition. I'm seeing in, the hubs, there's the 30-40% attrition in India, for example. How do you keep the cost base more slimline and efficient? So I think the workplace, the way it is going to be very important, and beyond technology and beyond everything else.
So very, very interesting, and thanks for that tangential outlook. Definitely, people is going to be key challenge. I mean, everybody is burnt out, stressed, overstressed. You need to find the best optimum way to keep going. Some of the organizations want to come back into office, some don't. Some are going to be hybrid, like you mentioned, Nitin. So a very, very valid point. Great one over there. Moving to you now, Sanjeev. Your take. I mean, a lot of work happening. You mentioned business processes and insights and a huge amount of initiatives over there. But going forward, where is the cleanup operation at your end? Go ahead.
I think I'll probably just break it into two quick halves. Number one, if it's all about data, it's all about information. We have to help the business take the right decisions and in the most fast and effective manner. So it's all about how much processing you can do for data. You have to build a corporate data lake, bringing structured and unstructured resources together so that data analytics can actually churn out something meaningful as an insight. Second, and more critically, if I may say so, the number of initiatives and the kind of technologies are pretty much going to be the same. It's going to be all about enterprise applications, DevOps apps, about enterprise applications, IoT sensors and the like. The difference lies in the way we construe them, whether it is an efficiency-driven initiative or whether it's a profit-bearing initiative. If it's a profit-bearing initiative, something that brings new money onto the table, it's definitely helping business, trying to take away that pain about, shelving workforce, reducing the workforce, or trying to look at cost-cutting measures, but instead improve your top line, grow, as well as help everyone else along the chain grow, including customers, including employees.
That's a really great insight, profits versus efficiency. I mean, definitely money is important. Definitely operations is important, and the continuing emphasis on data at your end. Great insight over there. Iftikhar, last in the line before we close, what is the cleanup operation? What are the initiatives, top initiatives you think are going to be happening at your end, your industry, whichever? Go ahead, please.
Right. Well, first, I don't call this as a recovery phase. Rather, it's a phase in which we have identified and coming to terms as a new normal. For me, digital transformation is the name of the game. Whether you talk about the data, whether you talk about AI, BI, ML, and we are firm believer that if you have a data and if you want to use in a right way, you have certain tools in place that helps you to generate, transform this data into the complete information. That's my take.
Interesting. So you'll continue to looking at data. A lot of the initiatives are in place. Continue to transform the organization. I think very interesting. Your momentum is already built in. You seem to be pretty confident that you're heading in the right direction. Is that it, Iftikhar? If I can summarize? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, great. Go ahead, please.
Because the distance is the main key. Like I already mentioned this thing. Now the patient and the customers are more reliant on the online information. If you have the right information about the patient, you can serve it. If you have the right information of the product, then you can easily deliver on the doorstep. So basically, data is the key. And if you want to use in a right way, you can not only increase your profitability, but it also create an impact on the economy as well.
Fantastic. So I hear across all the four panelists a lot about data, a lot about the people, a lot about the efficiency, a lot about continuing some of the initiatives that have been taken. So absolutely brilliant key takeaways and wonderful discussion. And unfortunately, we're running out of time. So we'll need to start closing up. And with that, I would like to say thank you to everybody at the end of this cross-border panel discussion. But before that, on behalf of Global CIO Forum, the World CIO 200 sponsor partners, and the panelists here, Anil Menon, Nitin Bhargav, Sanjeev Madhavi, and Iftikhar Arif. I thank all the online attendees sitting through these 45 plus minutes of absolutely engaging discussion. Look forward to seeing everyone once again. Goodbye and thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
It's a pleasure.
That's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Wow, what a fantastic panel it was. You know, like as we said in the beginning, that's the true flavor of what a cross-border panel brings about. Thank you so much to all the panelists who joined us from different geographies. The time zones were very different, but thank you for coming together and making this a huge success. We look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. With that, delegates, we come to an end of this wonderful Saudi round today. I hope you all enjoyed the sessions and the presentations. And once again, before signing off, we would like to thank all the speakers and panelists who embellished this day with their thoughts and time as well. Big shout out once again to all our partners who have made this journey so wonderful. Infoblox, BMB Laserfish, Veritas, FI Exclusive Networks, Arkan, and Finis. Thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing you in the next round, which would be our Kuwait, Qatar, and Oman round on September 22nd. Till then, it's a good day. Stay safe and stay secure. See you soon. Thank you.